All right, guys. So, welcome to a live tutorial. Unfortunately, you won't be able to hear Sexy, but he might throw some comments in the chat. I can hear him, so I can just relay what he's saying about what we're looking at today. But I thought it would be really cool to just do, and at the request, obviously, of a few of you in the group, just do a couple sort of just tutorials on like how I chart meme coins, what to look for, that sort of stuff, and Sexy's here for along for the ride. But obviously, guys, if you tune in at any time, please, yeah, hit me up with a reply. More than happy to give you advice around and education around how I go about it. And if you jump in live now, just let me know in the chat, or yeah, tag me if you need me to. But I thought I'd start with GME because this is a really interesting chart that we saw just pop up out of nowhere. So I just got tagged on. Sexy, can you check who replied to me on general? Okay, thank you. And yeah, we got someone. Excellent. Let's go. All right, easy. Welcome, bro. Welcome. All right. Oh, we got a few more people now. Excellent. Okay, so everyone will jump in. That's good to see. All right, so I thought I'd start on GME, guys, because this is like a lot of people chase the pump, and that's not the way that you want to be trading meme coins. Essentially, what you want to do when trading meme coins is getting in before the pump or as the pump sort of happens, right? So if we look at GME, this is what it looks like on the week. Obviously, this is what the day chart looked like previously. I'm just gonna mute. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, all right, sweet. So this is what the chart looks like. Obviously, this is what it looked like on the daily the other day once we jumped in there. But if I take a look at it here, guys, there's still ways that you can trade these sorts of things. So obviously, I wouldn't have been, if I missed this pump up to here and then missed this pump up to here, I'm definitely not chasing something like that. That's based purely on one person coming out or a particular hype just driven. And so the way that you can keep a track on when, I've already got it. On when a meme coin might look to be more bearish and broken trend is by just simply drawing a trend line like this. So for me, obviously, I drew this the other day just to track sort of the strength of it. And obviously we broke below, but then we accumulated and got back above that. So that showed me support, okay, for this is GME after the pump. And then obviously we really did fall below that. So if you were someone that got in early down here, or even on the second pump here and riding it, this would have been your ultimate sell point because it's broken the trend of higher lows. So higher lows obviously show us that there's bullish continuation, right? So higher lows, even higher lows there, higher low again, higher low here is what we would have looked for. Okay, so if there was a higher low at that point there, then obviously the continuation would have bounced up towards this range up here. But obviously we didn't see that. So this would have been obviously the time to cut the trade if you were in obviously lower, and I suppose what I'm just showing you here is the trend is your friend until it breaks, and once it does break, that's when you want to cut, guys. And that's why I aggressively cut meme coin trades, because obviously the alternative is that they go to zero. Even if they do pump after, I'd much rather protect my bags at all costs, because saving your capital is as important as making profit along the way. So that's what I'm looking at here. Now this is where I would look to take on this next sort of trade, guys, is how far, like, does this narrative want to play out again? And potentially we could see GME pump a second time here, potentially. I lean on the conservative side because of essentially what the market's doing at the moment. Like Sexy and I were just talking about, we're in a real indecisive sort of stage. We pumped based on news, based on the dollar, etc., and I think it's just, we're not 100% there yet. As I said the other day in that analysis post, I think we could honestly trend sideways macro between, say, 52,000 Bitcoin and about 70K Bitcoin for about another couple months, like all the way through to August. So that's why I'm more conservative on memes at the moment, just into those conviction plays, which I will look at shortly and show you how I do all of them. Obviously, let me know if I have any questions, guys. More than happy to answer. But essentially what I'm looking for here is obviously the fib pullback. So we obviously pumped out of nowhere. So you would take it from that sort of position at which the low was previously before we obviously broke out. So the way you draw that is just from the bottom all the way to the top. Make sure you have your fib settings already changed. This is what it looks like. So I use blue because the candles are obviously red and green. That way it makes it really clear. And then obviously I use the yellow to show the golden pocket. And a lot of coins, I've really noticed recently, a lot of Solana meme coins are bouncing off their 0.786, the strong ones. So in other words, ones that have run to over 10 million or more, once they come down and they dump all the way to 0.76 level, a lot of them seem to be pumping off that level for even a swing trade from, like, depending on the market cap, from like say a 30% swing trade all the way to multiple X's depending on the market cap. So that's a new strategy that I'm potentially looking at, is finding tokens that, yeah, like here's a classic example, like GME. Even in just this short trend here, guys, it's pumped all the way up. It obviously broke that trend like I showed you before. So I draw that trend there. Okay, that's obviously, it was up here a little bit, but you could draw the trend there. It broke it here, so I would have cut there. Okay, would have cut at that region there, and then I would have waited for it to maybe bounce off one of these levels. And as you can see here, it respects the shit house out of these levels. So as you can see here, it bounced multiple times at 0.5, and obviously here it showed a lot of support at the 0.618. So learn the fib levels. I obviously did that tutorial recently on YouTube, so you can check that one out too. And obviously, as you can see here, it has bounced off the 0.786. So Sexy, have you noticed that that's a similar trend that you've noticed as well, that it seems to be bouncing? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so Sexy agrees, guys. He said the 786, and what I will add that other level in now. So you said the 0.86? 886. All right, so I'm adding 0.886. Yeah, so those are these two levels. If you see a meme coin that has a strong community, has a strong meme, probably has the potential to pump again, these are the levels that you'd be wanting to potentially look at. And as you can see here, it did pump obviously from there. Now, I would be super aggressive with sort of taking profits along the way here. Obviously with this token here, because the market's a bit more on the bearish side at the moment, obviously we've just shorted Pepe and Bitcoin and stuff. It's only bounced 20%, but obviously initially it bounced 40% there. So look for these sort of plays on the stronger meme coins that are pulling back, because a lot of the time we're seeing them bounce really nicely off their 786 for at least, look at that, a 40% pump. And then that's an easy way to swing trade a lot of these meme coins on the side. So that's what I'm looking at for GME. I'll just check the chat. No questions. Yeah, sweet. Okay. Let me know if you have questions, guys, in the chat. More than happy to answer them. All right, so that's GME. I'll go to MOG now, because this is obviously another one of my faves that I've just have to be so patient with. So the trend initially was essentially here, right? So we saw a massive move up. So if I do zoom out a little bit, like as you can see here, so this was accumulation zone for a MOG for a long period of time. I think this was multiple months. So if you look here to there, yeah, 204 days. So it took 204 days. That's like what, 9 months of the year nearly? Oh no, man, a little bit less. Yeah, about 7 months. Took 7 months for this to break out, and once it did break out, obviously we saw it pump about a 24x. So that's why some of these plays, like the strong meme coins like MOG and like Bonk and Whiff and stuff, they take time to play out. So that's always something to remember. These low micro caps that are a lot more of a gamble sort of play, higher risk, are ones that you really want to be getting in and out of really quickly. So for MOG here, guys, what I was looking at is that this is a bullish structure, big breakout, consolidation in a sort of bull pennant, where you're coming like this is a very bullish structure, okay? So, and this works on meme coins and it works on altcoins as well. But obviously we're just ranging, setting lower highs and lower lows. But after this, we have a bull flag, okay? And then usually we step up here over the coming months. So this is on a daily chart, always good to remember what sort of time frame you're on. So daily chart, so it will play out quite slowly. But what I started to notice is that we broke out of this, okay? So that was really good. And then we hold this as support, and now we're pumping up again. Again, the other way you could potentially draw this is a sort of wedge pattern. Like this, essentially they mean the same thing. A pennant and a wedge are both bullish structures in this case, where you have price action coming up, okay, like this, and then consolidating, and then moving up like this, and then consolidating. That's bullish structure, okay? And so I would suggest looking at those Investopedia links that I chucked in the education help channel, because this is a really nice, clean sort of trading pattern that I like to look at when I'm trading meme coins. So a lot of people are super bearish because it obviously has come down. It came down 70%, so that's a lot, right? But for me, right, like MOG is such a prominent meme coin. So you got to think about, like Sexy said before, like sentiment and narrative and meta and community as well. It has a very strong community, which you can see from the engagement on my Twitter posts as well. So these are things you got to take into consideration also, as well as the chart. So for me, I knew that a lot of people, it's the sunglasses that do it for MOG, right? And if you see a lot of people on the timeline, even like Miladies and those sort of PFPs, they all have MOG, and even the puppets, right? They all have MOG sort of the sunglasses. So That's why I was super bullish on it, and that's why I accumulated all the way down here. But what I was looking for is obviously this change in structure. And what we saw here was this double bottom. Okay, so essentially price was moving down. Okay, setting lower lows like this all the way down. Okay, and it could have continued lower, but it didn't. Okay, and then eventually we saw a pump. So the first structure change was this one here. So this was obviously, I'll just clean it up. There we go. So this line here was obviously where price came down, we retested, we came back lower. And what we did is that we actually pumped above there. So that shows me that we've actually had a change of structure from bearishness back to bullishness. Now, what you would like to see is that we set a higher low, or at least an equal low. So as you can see here, guys, price went up to here, it came back down for the next sort of chart pattern. It set a higher low. This is on the daily compared to this one here. So that shows me, okay, that we have now changed in a bullish strength. We saw volume kick in as well. So look at the volume candle down the bottom there as well, guys. I'll just zoom out a little bit so it's a bit easier. We saw a massive volume candle come in. We saw structure change here. So I actually put a tweet out here. I think this is about 185 million from memory. Then I put a tweet out here saying this is an absolute steal for MOG. And sure enough, like even if you were just swing trading it, so swing trading from there to there is a 50% move. So if you have 10 Solana, that's a 5 Solana move right there, right? So swing trading, or if you're like me, you're convicted in this, I'm going to be holding it longer term. So that's what I'm looking for there, is obviously the change in structures by higher lows, okay? And then obviously we have the macro trend here, which is your yellow line showing me, okay, is it breaking out higher, or is it still consolidating here, or is it showing as support like it was here initially like this, okay? So that is still very valid there as well. So what I would have looked like if it was still this sort of pattern here is obviously if we can show support above this sort of high here. So I get really bullish on MOG if it can sign of flip that level there and continue higher there. But for the meantime, guys, like that's what I was looking at there. Now, obviously the next sort of pullback region you can look at is your Fibs. So Fibs again work very cleanly on Memecoins as well as altcoins. As you've seen Sexy and Aussie as well talk about the Fib levels before. So you can draw it multiple ways. You could obviously draw it from zero. So as you can see, like the best way to draw it often from a macro scale is to draw from zero. So the way you do that is obviously zoom all the way out to zero. So negative, negative, negative. So over on the right hand side, as you can see, I get to the lowest zero value and I draw that all the way to the top like that. Okay, and then I zoom back in and I see what levels it's looking at. So again, we look at what sort of levels we're bouncing from, and what have we seen that we bounce? We did come all the way back and touch that 0.5. Okay, so buying a Fib level traditionally, oops, that's a dodgy circle, but buying traditional levels at the golden pocket, so golden pocket's this range here, is good on a particular meme coin. So as you can see here, that's multiple forms of analysis that I've done. I've done it on sentiment, I've done it on the strength of the meme, I've done it on the community. Okay, so I have high engagement on Twitter. I obviously analyze the chart by seeing that we set higher lows. We obviously have on a macro scale a bullish flag pennant sort of playing out like this. We obviously saw a structure change here with higher lows on a daily time frame. So for me, that's how I analyze this, and was very convicted with buying this down at the sort of 180 to 100. I think it was about 180 to $200 million range. And if you did catch that low, obviously you'd be up quite a lot already. So that's how I analyze MOG, guys, and that's sort of what I look for in a lot of these different trades. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Happy to do any analysis at all. Sexy, do you have any comments on that at all? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we could, I'll put the fit back on. So we could potentially come back down here, or even down to the golden pocket ratio and fall back into the range. That's still okay, guys. And what Sexy was saying is essentially we haven't set a higher high yet. Okay, so technically we're bouncing off the zero level. Okay, so we're just waiting for it to potentially go a bit higher. So that's what I'm looking at there. I feel like my fib's a little bit off there, but for some reason. But anyways, that's MOG. Okay, so Epic. I will share this tab now as well. I'm just gonna have a little drink break. All right, so I obviously haven't looked at Epic since I shared it in the chat yesterday. Let's just clean this up a little bit. But essentially, same sort of premise as what I did before. I took the low, so the zero mark, all the way to the top. Okay, and obviously you can see that price was already sort of showing sort of high, like lower highs here by respecting this level. So that's how I find my trend line, is that essentially I look for these highs, okay, and see if there's one there for me to adopt. Obviously we could look here as well. There was kind of like, yeah, you could nearly draw a sort of wedge pattern there as well, potentially. Yeah, that's a wedge. So you're looking for the lows. You want as many touch points as possible on your trend lines when you're using trend lines. Now, that's why I always like to back it up with Fibonacci and other sort of metrics as well, the social metrics of meme coins, because without those sort of aspects, then it often is just pumping out of nowhere sort of thing. So using TA to our advantage to make sure that we have multiple indicators showing us that there might be strength here for a pump. So as you can see here, it respected this. We broke out quite aggressively, so we did pull back. And this is why I showed you before the 786. So this is a prime example. We pumped all the way up to here. I think it was like 40 million from memory, maybe it's 60 million actually, 0.5. And we came all the way back, and where did we bounce from? The 0.786, guys. So, and if you caught that just as a swing trade, you could have traded that all the way back up to the 0.5 for a 2.3x. So, really keep that idea there on really looking for those swing trades when you're looking at these meme coins. Now, you can obviously draw trend lines within smaller time frames. So the pink line here is obviously on the higher time frame, and then this little breakout here was what I was looking for, is a bigger W, so a double bottom off the 0.786 on the higher time frame, so the 1 day or the 4 hour chart, and then what I was looking for on the 1 hour, 2 hour was a break of this, and we did obviously get that. But what you're seeing now is sort of maybe bearishness, like essentially, but that's general market right now, and that's no surprise here. So for me, I would have loved to see this pump back up here, even not flip this and then continue high like this. But if the macro conditions don't allow it, then that's why you need to always consider it, because a lot of these meme coins, yes, they might have a really good chart like this, but it's not going to break out because Bitcoin and ETH and Solana are breaking down on a macro scale. So that's always important. That's why you'll see me sort of really fade away from meme coins when the market is really choppy at the moment, and also when the market's going down, because where is the money taken out of straight away? It's NFTs and meme coins, because they're illiquid or they're super risky, they're super volatile. So people always put them back into their stables or into your larger altcoins like Bitcoin and Solana and co, right? So for me, looking at this level, I remain bullish on Epic as long as it sort of holds this level here. If it does sort of look to cut, sorry, if it looks to break down below this level, okay, we see this, we don't break back above it here, I probably look to cut there and then look at maybe getting back down in here. Sexy just said that he obviously uses the 0.86, so I'll just add that to this one, sorry, 886 fib. So maybe I'd be looking at targeting that down at 6.9 million if we get there as a potential bounce there for higher. But at the moment, I'm still okay with this chart. And it's as long as it shows support here and it bounces here, like we obviously bounced off here previously as well. So that's what I'm looking at. So in the meantime, that's my analysis on Epic. Sexy, any comments to add on that? Yeah, easy. All right, so this is one that, so I'm going to share Harambe now. Okay, so this is one that obviously I haven't got in, except I did share with you guys a few weeks ago when I was in the desert that there was this massive double bottom playing out. Oh no, what happened to my screen? Oh, it just rocked. Let's put it back up. All right, Harambe, there we go. All right, so there we go. All right, sweet. All right, so what I showed you a couple of weeks ago in the group was a potential double bottom playing out on Harambe on a very high time frame. I'm just gonna have to try and find it again. I think it was the 3-day. Yeah, kind of. No, it wasn't the 3-day. I don't know. I might have to dive in the Discord and just double check where it was. But essentially, what we were looking at, and it did play out. Maybe it was the week. I remember it being a very high time frame. Maybe it was this week. I think it was the week chart, guys. So essentially, what I was looking at is this level here. And so it's always important to zoom out as much as you can first and then zoom in and do the analysis after. So I was looking at this big double bottom here, okay? And I think this is where I did share the trade and it did play out. So the way you could play this double bottom here, guys, is essentially the way you draw it is from the neckline. So you draw it from the neckline here. So the neckline could be these wicks up here for a more conservative play. As you can see, price respected this wick here and this wick here. So that could be potentially, I'll just show you that could be your neckline too, and your double bottom could be a bit deeper, okay, like this, all right? Or you can obviously have it down here as well. Probably the top one makes more sense, to be honest. So if I get rid of that, This is what we're looking at on the higher time frame. As you can see, also, like I can already see here that there is a trend line going across there as well. So not only is it a double bottom, so a double bottom like looking looking like this, we're seeing that it's actually a higher low on several closing week candles. So that shows me there's a lot of strength there, and that's why taking this trade made a lot of sense. So the way that you draw it is from the neckline all the way to the lowest point of this higher low. Here's the way I like to draw it. And that's sort of how I set my targets, right? So we didn't quite get there, probably because the market didn't really support us continuing higher. If Bitcoin obviously pumped to 70K, then likely Harambe followed, and a lot of these, and Epic would have broken out like I showed you before, but obviously we didn't get there. But still, this is still a great swing trade all the way back up to this swing trade. I think it was a nice juicy trade. So yeah, so it pumped to there. So it's a 60% swing trade as well. So sometimes on these bigger tokens, a 50% swing is insane, guys. Like you got to remember, like the stock market every single year only returns about 6 to 8%, right? So here is one trade, we're making 50% on our trade. So always step back, think about it that way. But for Humbre, this is certainly one that I think you want to look into maybe holding in the short term. So okay, we've gone from a week. We'll go a little bit higher time frame, but I'm looking at the daily chart now. So again, we're actually bouncing. So this could be a really nice sort of accumulation zone. If we could either bounce here, or we obviously could, if the market sort of dives down to 58K Bitcoin, we could come back down here and range back in this level here. So for me, a couple of areas I'm looking at. Obviously, I'm looking at this potential sort of higher structure play. So we've got higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Obviously, we've got higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. Yep, so higher highs. So we are in bullish structure. So DCAing at this level here makes a lot of sense. And then also, if you see it consolidate here, it probably makes a lot of sense. Now, this meme coin is it's a classic. Obviously, it's been around a long time. Like, yeah, it started January, so it's been around for 4 months. But what I'm looking at is that this is probably not a bad area to potentially long it to a new all-time of a 2x. And then if you do see it come back into this range here, potentially look for it to confirm and then move up as the market sort of presents better opportunities in the coming months, like I said earlier. But let's look at the Fibs just to see what levels we're looking at. So again, you go from 0 all the way to the top. And so as you can see here, it pumped to sort of no man's land. As you can see, we're bouncing off that support level at the moment. Sorry guys, I'm being a bit noisy, so I need to be a little bit quieter. And what I would be looking for is maybe DCAing at this level here at the macro trend, okay? And that's, as you can see here, it's supported by these wicks up to this level as well. We obviously wicked up to it here as well, so that's why this trend line is quite important. So this is, I think, a good DCA sort of area. And as you can see, we've already kind of bounced from there as well. As you can see, we've wicked up probably 5 to 10%, not too much from this sort of region, which is on your 0.5 region as well. But what I would be either bouncing from here, okay, if the market presents that opportunity, or coming back here, maybe retest double and then pump out like there. So Harambe is definitely one that I've got on my radar at the moment. Sexy, what do you think? Oh, but ah, okay. So when's his birthday and when is his death? All right. Okay. So birthday is the 27th. So that's 2 weeks, and then the death was 28. Yeah, so it is. You're right. 2 weeks. So you know what? This could actually be a really good swing trade alive right now, guys. As a good DCA. Now, I do say that if the market goes lower, this does go lower. Probably comes back down to this sort of region here at 30 million. But I think this is not a bad DCA. So I might buy a bit of Harambe after the live. So I'm looking at those two levels. Coming down here, we might, worst case scenario, get a retest down here. But I suppose this is on the daily chart. So let's clean up those. Like the daily chart being that it's the events for him are within 10 days means that we don't have a lot of time to break out higher. So if we look, it's about the 26. So we've got to a point there. So you could see a bounce here back higher. So yeah, I think Harambe is not a bad sort of play here. It is a strong meme coin. There is a strong community on Twitter, just not as strong as other sort of tokens. So that's what I'm looking at. All right, so that's Harambe. Let's look at WIF. All right, so there's a few charts here. I actually have left all my yellow lines from when I got in at 200k, and I could have been a multi-millionaire if I had just held, but that's okay. But what we're looking at here, guys, is essentially a breakout. Not a lot of strength. Ideally, what you would like to see, so this sort of pattern here, I'll just check that yep, it's working great. Yep, sweet. So this sort of pattern here is essentially its probability is not as bullish as the one that we saw in Monk. Okay, we've got obviously sort of higher lows just. Okay, a lot of wicks show me that there are a lot of people buying whiff down here, which does show me bullish strength. And but what you want to see is obviously a really nice, strong, clean breakout here with strength. So big green candles here, maybe consolidation, green consolidation like that. And then you also want to see a spike in volume. Okay, so obviously we've got a really small spike in green volume now. But this next sort of spike, okay, for it to continue higher, it needs to be green. If this starts to be red, okay, so this is on the 3-day. Let's go the daily. If this starts to be red, then I probably lean in the camp that whiff does go lower, right? So let's look at the Fibs. Again, the way you do that, zoom out. You can use Fibs multiple ways. I just like to do it like the whole range. So 0 all the way to here to the top. As you can see, we're sort of in no man's land at the moment. So probably a no trade zone unless you took this sort of trade here and took the breakout. But even then, we're just buying and holding with. I think it's a no-brainer. This cycle probably goes to 10 to 20 billion in my opinion. So still a lot of upside there, 3 to 6x for that. But potentially we could see if the market comes down, this come down all the way. Probably bounces from this sort of region. Because as you can see, where's my... Gosh, I can't find it. Anyway, essentially we've got a few wicks down to this sort of level as well at the 0.618. So for me, potentially we could see it come all the way back down there. Probably a really good buying opportunity, probably a really good long opportunity. Now that's the beauty too, that you can long with on AMXC. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on this one as well. What are your thoughts on whiff, Sexy? Yeah, yeah. Let's have it. Yeah, yeah. So he's looking at these levels and then down here at 1.95 billion as well. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, excellent, excellent. All right, sweet. All right, well, let's go to, let me just jump back in. All right, I'll do a couple more. So Bonk is another one. That's obviously quite famous. Let's just pull that up. All right, and then pull that down. So as you can see here, it's consolidating. Again, this is on a weekly chart, guys. So let's look at the daily. Yeah, it's consolidating from high lows on a really macro sort of level here. And then it looks to be like this could trend. Yeah, it could trend sideways for a bit. You could even say it deviated down below here and reaccumulated that zone there. So yeah, Bonk's in a sort of just a really consolidating sort of phase. And as you can see here, the end of it would probably, yeah, so this could go all the way to July as well, guys. So another month of consolidation here. But as you can see on a higher time frame, the trend is still your friend, right? So until it sort of breaks this sort of trend line that has shown support all the way like this, and this is months and months, right? So this is, let's change that color. All right, so if we change this color and we sort of show this trend here, until it breaks this macro trend like this, I probably am not bearish on Bonk at all. So watching that. Let's look at the Fib. And yeah, it's bouncing off its 0.5 already. So if I just delete the trend line there, yeah, so it's bouncing nicely several times, but obviously the more times it bounces, look at that. This just shows you guys why you should not ignore Fib lines, because it's just respecting the hell out of that on the 382 and the 0.5. So the more times it bounces, obviously that means bearishness. It's more likely to break. So we could potentially see it come down here. I think that's a great long opportunity at 1.7 sort of billion range that we're seeing at the moment. Probably a little bit lower, 1.6 billion. So that's what I'm looking at for Bonk. Sexy thoughts? Yeah, yeah. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so Sexy has the same analysis. Excellent. All right, so now that there's no other questions in the chat, just checked. Yep, sweet. If yeah, easy or Izumuri. If you have any questions, guys, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. If not, I'll just have a look at some newer meme coins. So when you come to Dex Screener and you see sort of the top volume, I always like to come in and see what the top volume tokens are. The ones up here. And you'll find that they're the ones with the hottest sort of narrative at the moment and the hottest sort of volume, because a lot of them probably pumped a lot, as you can see like this, and a lot of them aren't very old either. So doing some quick analysis, this is what I like to do when I'm looking at sort of top volume tokens, right? So Bad Cat, no idea what it is. I come in, I obviously looked at the daily. It's new, right? So that's cool because it might have a strong sort of play. So the way I go about this is I look at the chart and I go, okay, it's consolidating here. Okay, we obviously have a trend line here. Okay, and we seem to have broken it probably at the moment. You could probably say it's about there because the reason I changed that is because we've got bodies here. So bodies are obviously stronger than wicks. And as you can see here, we've respected it on the downside as well. So we've respected it there and we've respected it here. We respected it there. So that's why I draw the trend line there. So we've obviously broken that. We have bearishness in terms of we haven't been able to get back in to this sort of parabolic sort of stage. So that's where I would probably maybe avoid something like this. So let's have a look now at a couple other ways that you can draw this. Now, the best ways to do that is obviously the reverse. So as you can see here, we seem to be consolidating in this sort of range as well. So this is another way you could potentially draw it is, okay, is it going to be breaking up out of this range or is it going to be breaking out of this range? So that's another way you could analyze this. Again, this is on a 5-minute chart. And then another way you could analyze this chart is you can draw it like this and you sort of have your higher lows still, and then it's respecting this level up here. So that's 3 different ways you can probably chart it. So at the moment, this is probably the most prominent sort of wedge pattern that I would be looking at for this trade here, because you've got higher lows. So as soon as it breaks this point here, essentially that means that it's got more bearishness, but then obviously that level there is quite important. So I'd keep an eye on that as well, because potentially we could come all the way up here, break down, but then bounce off there and then break out. I've seen that happen multiple times. So this would be where my line is. So if I was to get into this, so say I was to buy here, okay, so say I was to buy now, buy up here, and then it did break down, but it held above this area here. I don't know, that's at 0.00068. That is where I would cut, right? So if it did, so say it came up here, I'm DCAing, it came down here and it bounced off there, I'm happy with that, okay? And it likely looks to break out here. However, if it comes here, it breaks down, and then it breaks down below there, that's probably where I look to cut, because we've got liquidity there on this token. Now, that's just purely chart analysis. Where I would go to next is sort of the strength of this meme. So we're looking at this cat in the bag, okay, yeah, it's not that strong. Liquidity is okay for an FTV, and market cap at 780, that's 1/7, so I'm pretty happy with that. I might dive down here. Yeah, a lot of people talking about it there. So I'd dive on here. I'd go to the Twitter. So once it loads, so let's have a look here. Do I have anybody that I follows it? So I've got one person here, a Bodogo holder. So interesting. Okay, there are 314 followers. What's their engagement like on their Twitter? So 6 hours ago, they posted 9.2K views. Not too bad. They obviously posted something 2 minutes ago. It's got a bit of love there as well. They're looking, so they're baiting Ansem. So yeah, really interesting. A lot of people like to do that. Diving down. So yeah, they're getting a lot of engagement on their Twitter. So that shows me, okay, maybe this isn't a bad one to get into. I do like to come back here. I like to click on the Telegram and just see how many people are in their Telegram. As you can see here, we've got quite a few. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of indicators showing me, okay, that's good. Now, what we haven't done yet is just make sure that the contract is safe. Now, usually you can safely assume that something at 750K is safe, but I always like to do my due diligence. So the way I go about that is I copy the contract, obviously. I come over to the rug check, I chuck it in there. Let's have a look. So it's good. Yep, a low amount of LP, but that's okay. LP locked. Yeah, interesting. We'll dive into it. Top holders are okay. I then obviously come over to my Telegram and I use Soul Scanner. Okay, let's punch it in there. Just to double check it, I'd obviously use Rick in the Discord too. So let's have a look here. So mint is off, 100% burnt. Okay, good. So that's showing me a lot of positive signs here. Let's have a look. Airdrop, 79%. So that's really interesting there. So something that SoulScan has put in recently is that they have this factor here. So I'd keep an eye on this because potentially there's they've airdrop tokens in the contract to drive the liquidity across wallets that the dev or the creator owns. So definitely keep an eye on that. As you can see here, that might be supported by the top 10. So that's my analysis on that. So then I do come back and I go, okay, despite all of this, the strong community on Telegram and the meme itself seems to be okay. I'd come back to obviously the chart and I just keep an eye on this. To be honest, something like this I probably don't buy because there's a few other factors, right? And that's the time. So right now we are approaching a decent time to be trading memes. Often, so this is Europe evenings, US coming into evenings, and Australian mornings are often the best time that I've at least found to trade memes. I just think that's just when the liquidity and a lot of people are at their computers, that sort of thing. So it is not a bad time to enter the trade, but what I'm seeing here is that it's likely probably going to break down here. But I keep an eye on it, see where it, once it gets closer to its apex, then just see what happens, right? And that's the trade that I'll be looking at. So that's my full analysis. Obviously, I do it a lot quicker because I'm just used to it, and hopefully you guys will learn how I go about it so you guys can do it nice and quick as well. So I'll just double check any questions. No questions. Sexy, anything you wanted to add to that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, very true. So yeah, so sexy best as you said, guys. That scalp trading. So scalp trading, you're looking at volume. So volume's been pretty consistent. It is slowly coming down. So as it approaches its apex here, usually breaks out. I think it's about 80% of its apex, so it might be about there. Usually you want to see volume either consistent or, as you can see, coming down here, because then likely we see a spike in volume. Okay, so spike in volume here and here and here. And then obviously if you're wanting to long this, so in other words, want it to pump, you'd want price action to follow as well. So yeah, Sexy just basically said, keep an eye on volume, make sure it's high. So as you can see here, it's high on the 5 minute, go in the 1 hour and have a look. Yeah, we've got volume spikes. How old's this hour? 10 minutes. Yeah, we're doing all right for 10 minutes in this hour as well. So as you can see here, this is what it looks like on an hour. So unfortunately, a lot of these early meme coins, you have to do your analysis on a really short time frame. So that's what I'm looking at for that. So then I go to the next one. And so I decide on that trade. Okay, probably going to fade it for now, but I could come back and check it in a minute. My tab's not working, so I'll go to the second one here. All right, let's have a look. So this one, okay, so this one's pumped insane. Snowboard cat. So as you can see, the meta is cat. So that's another thing to consider at the time of day, guys. Is one of these meme coins that you're getting into strong, or is it not, based on the meme meta that currently is happening? So politics and obviously cat meta is the main ones. This I'm probably not going to touch. The trade would have been probably here if you managed to maybe catch this low here. That would have been the trade. Something like this that's pumped to basically 1 million with only 110 liquidity. Probably going to avoid that for the time being. So I look at that and I skip it straight away. I don't even bother doing anything else because I'd like, you're essentially buying the top. Like, look at the alley. Like, look at this. Like, why would you buy that? Like, sure enough, if it sends to 5 million, sweet. But that's not how I like to trade. I like to trade with educated tactics and chart analysis and sentiment analysis to make sure I'm getting into meme coins that actually have potential, right? So let's go to the third top, which is obviously Poseidon Cat. So another cat meta. This one, very interesting. So we could potentially, this could be one to Binance Cat. Who knows? Again, you dive under their Twitter. I'll just quickly have a look. Is there anything happening there? Yeah. Okay. So they got a few followers. 750. It says Binance Cap. Okay. So whether that's actually legit based on Binance or something. Yeah. See, everyone's trading Ansem because they just want Ansem to pump their token. So yeah, be careful of that. Ideally, you want something that's authentic, that doesn't need a big shiller to talk about it before getting into it. So let's have a look here. So this is a classic one where you would look to see if it wants to bounce off its fib. So go to the 0, go all the way to the top, and let's see. So it's actually fallen below its, yeah, all fibs really. So quite a lot of weakness. So again, not really something that I would be wanting to get into in the short term. So I'd look at this, I keep an eye on it. Maybe it does pump back up to the 0.786 like this. I'd have to obviously look at the token to make sure it's safe and look at the pool to see how many people own it, etc. And that's the other thing too, to show you actually, it is always good to see how many holders hold this token. So you can do that multiple ways. You can do that obviously on Deck Screener. When you come back over um, to Soul Scanner, I'm pretty sure it tells you here somewhere. Yeah, here. So Soul Scanner shows you holders there as well. So there's multiple ways you can do it. Obviously, you can use Photon as well if you are a Photon trader, and that's honestly where I'd be trading at the moment, is on Photon. So yeah, that's my analysis, guys, on sort of the newer meme tokens. So if there's nothing to be covered, no questions at all. Sexy, is there anything you wanted to add? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So hopefully that gives you a lot of insight, guys. I obviously have recorded this. I'll chuck this in the education help channel. I'll probably have to upload it to YouTube as a private video because it'd be too big. But hopefully that gives you a bit of insight into how I trade meme coins. And I've given you heaps, right? So I've given you essentially what I look at for new tokens, what I look at for tokens like this that are currently trending. And I obviously have given you analysis on some of the top meme coins that I'm looking at. I suppose the last thing that you can do, obviously, is come to new pairs. The best way I found to do this is to obviously put it by trending within the 5 to the 1 hour minute. So if I click on that, deck screen is glitching out. But essentially, if you click on the 1 hour 1 hour 5 minute, it'll show you the trending tokens based on that. You then rank it by age, guys, and that's how you can find some of these meme coins before they really pop off. So let's just look at this one. This is Zeus. If you come in here, as you can see, it's new. It's pumped a lot, so liquidity is very low. It's only 63 cap. So what I'd do is I'd go straight to rug check with this. So let's go back straight to rug check, punched in that. Okay, so it's good. Mutable metadata, so interesting. Double check it with Soul Scanner. Okay, so paste the contract in there as well. I pasted obviously with Rick in the Discord to see what Rick says. As you can see here, red flags, right? So bundle sniped. So as you can see, as soon as it dropped, it was bundle sniped across several different wallets. Essentially, that just means as soon as it was dropped, a heap of people, or maybe it was the dev actually, set up wallets to buy it, so that they own at least 88% of the tokens. And let's have a look at any other factors. Yeah, so it's burnt and mint is off. Dev sniped 77. So yeah, classic right there. So that's a red flag, guys, for me. Yeah, and you'll see this, it'll pump, and this is why you have to be so careful, guys, because a lot of people will see this and go, oh yeah, I'm going to get into this. No, red flags. Always do your due diligence first. So let's go in here. Let's see if I can change it for some reason. Yeah, okay, now it's working. So 5 minute, set it to, you got to go new pairs. Trending on the 5 minute. For some reason, it just doesn't want to work, but my tabs aren't working. But you can rank these by as degenerate as you want, last hour, last 5 minutes, etc. And then you do it like this and rank it by age. So that's what I like to do. We'll do one other one just to show you how quick you've got to be at getting into this. So have a look at it. It's at 120k market cap. So ideally you want to be in a little bit lower than that for something quite risky. Look at the chart here. The big wicks already. Okay, so this is showing me something already. So see these big wicks here? This is on a 5 minute chart. So we have huge wick there, huge wick all the way down here. That shows me there's a lack of liquidity. And when I come over on the side, the liquidity is at 19k for 113. So ideally, the less wicks it has, the stronger it is. So in other words, the more liquidity is in there, which is better for us as traders because it allows us to essentially maximize profits and maximize our stop losses on these trades because they don't fluctuate as much. Okay, more liquidity means it just doesn't fluctuate in price as much. Okay, so copy the contract. Catzilla, let's have a look. Again, some of these are so random. Come over to Soul Scanner. Punch in the contract. Let's have a look. So yeah, again, you see a common theme. A lot of these are rugs. Dev snipe 60%, even though it's off mintable and 100% was burnt. Dev snipe. So red flag. I don't trade that, guys. I don't even look at the socials. I just don't trade it. The last one, before we actually jump off, the last thing to discuss is pump.fun. Yeah. So really interestingly, it actually has just gone down. So this is, I don't know what's going on. I don't like, obviously there was that hack that happened earlier today. So yeah, definitely I don't like pump.fun is okay. But in the short term, you want to be in something that's on Deck Screener, in my opinion, because it actually has legitimacy because it's been dropped with a Radium liquidity pool. But that's my 2 cents on that. Sexy, what's your thoughts on pump.fun right now, I suppose? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so Sexy basically said, guys, that yeah, you still do your due diligence when you're on pump.farm. If it does bounce back from this hack, obviously, you check all the socials, you check that you can copy the contract address. Unfortunately, the website's not working at the moment, but you go to the website itself, up the top, the URL, and you can copy the contract address up the top, and then you can paste that into BonkBot to get in if you want to buy those pump.farm tokens, or and on Photon actually at the moment as well. And obviously, you can actually chuck them into your Sol scanner to check the contract security and safety as well. But hopefully that gives you a really good overview, essentially of how I trade meme coins. We looked at obviously new ones, we looked at ones that are top volume, and obviously we looked at ones that have established communities and established memes, and ones that will probably likely move up over the coming months later this year. So no questions at all. So I will stop the recording in a sec. But yeah, cheers guys for tuning in. Thanks for being here, I suppose.